Welcome back, everyone. Haha, I like that energy. High energy.
Yeah.
We're ready to review episode 6 of Percy Jackson and the
Yeah.
Olympians on Disney Plus.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of forgetting happening in this episode,
A
and then
lot.
some remembering.
Yeah. Like we forgot the music.
Oh, did we? Oh, did
We
we?
did. Did we?
Nice segue there, sir.
I try.
Well done. Well done. Well done. I like that. I like that. Keeps me on my toes. Keeps me on my toes.
It's all good.
So, what'd you think of this one?
Um, it's true. It's hard to keep up with like the mythology of, or the rules of how these things work and stuff like that. I try to kind of step back from that because there's a lot of like intricacies, and like I said, like the original stories don't actually explain it, so
Right.
it's kind of hard to. They did try to explain it a little bit by saying these two were together, so it's harder to forget, But
Yeah, that was interesting to me. Like them going into the Lotus Casino, they knew, okay, wait, Lotus, oh yeah, that Lotus fruit makes you forget,
mhm,
right?
yeah,
So don't eat the fruit.
right, or the
But
petals, right?
it's right, but it seems again Grover went off and forgot what he was doing,
Completely, yeah.
was looking for Pan. Do
Hmm.
you think so? He was playing this game,
Hmm.
right? This VR game. And in the game, he was looking for Pan.
Hmm.
That seems very convenient,
It was
right?
interesting because that was the very game. That was what he was talking about with, I forgot his name, the other satyr. That's what he
Yeah.
was talking about with him, and so that was the game he ended up playing.
Right. So I'm curious, like, was that Satyr's had he been playing that game and that's why he thought that he was close to finding Pan? Or is Pan somehow tied to this game actually? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like because both of them felt like okay, so the other guy felt like he said anyways, but he also acted a little bit more on drugs than actually
He was
forgetting,
being very strange.
Yeah, but he was like, I found Pan, or I almost did, or whatever. Um, do you want to help me, or whatever? Then they both started forgetting, and then all of a sudden Grover is playing this game. So now
Yeah,
the
and the guy
question
was
is,
somewhere else.
were both of them playing the same game at one point in time? So like, I
Yeah.
don't know. It was a very yeah, it's a strange occurrence, I
Yeah.
suppose.
And
So,
maybe we were thinking about it too hard, but
well, I think we think about a lot of things
yeah.
too
Because
hard.
again, we
So,
talked about a little bit before about like how time works differently in the casino,
right.
but also they're pumping Lotus essence into
Hmm.
the air, and so
Right.
people are forgetting like themselves, or at least
Right.
forgetting like why they came in
What?
there, what they're doing. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, this is such a, I guess, a commentary on how casinos work because there's,
Mhm.
no clocks, no
Yeah.
windows. You're
Yeah.
supposed to forget
Right. That's
and
the
just
objective. Yep.
hang out in there, right? So this is the
Mhm.
extreme of this, right? Is
Right.
not only do you forget, but time is like moving quicker for some
Mhm.
reason. So you're in there longer than you thought.
Right.
Um, but I guess what we were trying to figure out is, are those two separate things or is that the same thing?
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
And does it really matter? No, because they don't
Mm.
really engage with that at all, besides
Mhm.
saying it happened.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know.
I guess at the end of the day, it did matter because they got to um they got to Santa Monica too late.
Right. I mean, it mattered, but it doesn't. The mechanics of it don't matter,
Mhm.
right? Like
Right.
either way, 2 days passed.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it's because
Right. Okay. Yeah.
whether it's because time moved differently or because you just forgot
Right.
what you were doing,
Mhm.
you're like, wait a minute, what? Two
Right.
days? Like either way, point is you were late. So
Right.
move on. I guess that's
Yeah. I
stuff for
feel
us
you.
to think about, but it doesn't really matter in the show. So
Right. Yeah. That's true.
I don't know.
I mean, the show will go on. So
Now I know you watched the movie, but did you expect them to be late?
I most definitely expected them to be late. I didn't. No, okay, sorry. I didn't. I don't remember. I didn't remember that they were losing track of time. But I remember when I saw them walk into the club, a very brief thought that crossed my mind was, "Oh, they're going to lose track of time."
Mhm.
But it was very brief. And when I say very brief, I mean like it was there and it's gone. Right? I noticed it, but I was trying to pay attention to what was going on, so it just whatever. And then when they were like, he looked at his watch, which should have been the clue, but I don't really pick on up on like things like that, I suppose. But then when he said they had lost track of time, then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes. It came back. The thought came back, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense or whatever. Um, I was hoping that he would meet his dad because I kind of remember in the movie somehow he had met his dad earlier on, but I don't recall.
Hmm.
Um, but when she was like his dad is gone, I was like, oh well, that makes sense because he'd have too much closure, I think, but if he had met his dad, you know. So I guess maybe I wasn't premeditating that. I wasn't thinking about whether he would be late or not. Did you think he was going to be late? Like, was that a thought that crossed your mind?
I didn't think they'd be late already,
Oh, okay.
right? Like to me, I'm like, oh, you're like it's already passed. Like
Mm-hmm.
I figured ultimately they would be too late,
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
but
Right. You mean the
I didn't think
right.
they'd be. I think they were already too late.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of where my mind was. Like, oh, they're losing time, so now they're even more behind, so
Hmm.
they're gonna be late. But
Right.
the fact that they're already late and they're in Santa Monica still, I was like, oh shoot, like
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, this is everything's underway.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, also this whole story. I mean, I liked the episode. It really engrossed me. But at the end of the day, well, I suppose it served a purpose because now he has a way to get back these four little orbs that she gave him.
Right.
But that served no purpose otherwise. You know, um, for them to go to Santa Monica, it was just a waste of time, right? They could have
Mhm.
just immediately went to LA.
Right.
And then how was it that they weren't going to have a way to get back? But I mean, I guess in that respect, Hermes did say, "Do you know what happens to every single person that he helps?" You know, so maybe
Mhm.
they did need to go to Santa Monica anyway. I'm just reasoning in my head now. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's fortunate they went to Santa Monica and got those things. But
right,
yeah, I mean, otherwise it wouldn't have been super helpful. But
right.
yeah, I don't know. So, speaking of Hermes, how'd you feel about how he was portrayed, and how Lin Manuel Miranda did as far as the character?
Is that who he is? I don't know
Yes,
who that is.
yes.
I mean, it was interesting that they portrayed him and also Poseidon as caring fathers when everyone else is ruthless concerning
Right.
their kids, you know.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Some of the things that he said were they were interesting from like just a human perspective because I mean, to be honest, yeah, sometimes a lot of times you need to let your kids learn for themselves, you know.
Mhm.
Excuse me. You don't want them to hurt themselves, obviously, but you don't want them to be coddled. So you need to learn how to let them, grow. And if they have to fall, let them fall, sort of thing.
Right.
So I did like some of his like monologue, but
Yeah. I mean,
speaking of monologue, oh, and
yeah,
it's
we don't
just
even have to.
just
I don't even want to talk about her.
stop.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, go
But
ahead.
a question I had was, thinking about you mentioned how, Poseidon and Hermes seem to be portrayed as at least somewhat caring parents, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Given how long these gods have been around, which we don't
Hmm.
know, at least a
Yeah.
few thousand years, given how many kids they've had and how they seem to be kind of having them indiscriminately,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, is that even compatible with caring parent? Right? Like does that even make any sense to even try to use that phrase to describe them? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is that even a possibility
I mean,
given
Yeah.
the way in which you have these children like this. I don't know. Maybe you can be caring with specific children, but like, how many do you have, and how many have you just? How many have there been? I don't know. I'm just trying to think about like how many kids does Hermes actually have? Because there's whole cabins at that place, right? Right at the
That
camp
dedicated
for like
to the kids.
all the kids, right? And this
Right.
is just the current ones,
Hmm.
so it's like you have all these kids. Like, is that even
Well, in comparison with Zeus, for example, Zeus doesn't seem to care about any of his kids. That's what kind of the impression that we're getting. Hades may or may not. We don't know, but Poseidon seems to be the one who does actually really care. And Hermes is an original god, right? Or original, but he's like one of the.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, Hermes and Poseidon, I guess, are. I don't know how many kids that they have. Um, but I think it might be possible to have so many kids and really love them for who they are. So I think it might be possible. I mean, I'm not a father, so I couldn't even begin to fathom whether that's a
Right?
possibility or
But
not.
I mean, I guess the way it's not like any of these kids are raised by these guys. You know what I mean? Like they're not involved seemingly, whether they care or not.
Yeah, but that's the problem because since these are like half bloods or demigods or whatever, according to this law or pact that they created or something like that, they're not allowed to interact with them. So they can't, they can't be their uh, father. But then I mean, like the father that they might want. But that raises a question. Well, if you know that you can't, why you keep making them?
Well, and that's what I mean. Like why you have all these kids that you can't care for, but like, oh, but I care for them. But
Right,
you're bringing them into this world with this real terrible situation in the
right, yeah.
first place by having them
I
when you
mean that.
didn't need to.
Yeah, but I mean, just bringing that
But I
up.
mean, that's a whole
Yeah, because I
thing,
mean,
right?
like, I still like I have this issue with people having kids now. I mean, I don't have an issue because it's their life and they do whatever they want to.
Right.
But the world is just in such a nasty, disgusting place. You're bringing this kid into it, and can you assure that they're going to have, you know, um, the things that I mean? Can you assure them? I guess that kind of like, can you assure their safety and can you assure that they can grow up in a healthy environment and stuff like that, breathing pure air, drinking pure water and stuff like that. I don't know if you actually can, and
Yeah.
also the world is apparently, according to what I keep reading, overpopulated. Why do you keep having kids?
Yeah.
Is it for the kids or is it for you? you know so I kind of honestly think I was thinking about this a few weeks ago, maybe uh earlier than that, but the I was like, if humans weren't so selfish and so blind, this world would have ended maybe far sooner than now, right? Because people would have gotten realize, okay, we're actually destroying this world. Excuse me. I'm not bringing another kid into it. Perhaps there is another, excuse me, perhaps there's another life. I will bring a kid into that life where things are more perfect. If not, I won't sacrifice their lives for here. And I hear some people saying, well, we have to bring about the new generation because, they're the future. Don't put that on them. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's also selfish. You fix your shit. Like, you caused this, or maybe your parents caused this, but you're here now. You know that you're living in this drama or whatever. Fix it. And if you don't think you can fix it, why are you putting this on the kid? Like, I just have a bunch of issues with it all across the board.
I see.
Just
I see.
it just, and I don't have, and this is very specifically why. There, I am not bringing a kid into this wretched world. I'm not. you know?
Yeah, and I don't fault people for continuing to have children, right? As far as the human race is concerned, but I do think a lot of people there are people that have children because they want someone to love them,
Yes,
right? Like
that
because
is selfish.
I know this kid will love me. I
Mhm.
don't feel love, so I'm gonna have a child,
Right.
right?
Yep.
That's not a good reason.
It's a horrible
And
reason.
like, if you aren't set up to actually give that child love and
Mhm.
support,
Yeah.
then you're just perpetuating a cycle,
Oh,
right? I
definitely.
understand it. Like it's not I'm not saying you're evil, but I think you are mistaken to have a child for that reason. Like
Oh, I don't think they're evil, yeah, but I think
yeah,
they're making
I think it's not the best
bad
choice, right? Like
decisions. Yeah,
even
exactly.
because one, there's so many children out there
Yeah.
that need families,
Mhm.
right? And
See, but they want their own kid,
right,
you
right,
know?
and
Like,
and
they
I
want
I
their own
I
DNA.
understand it, right? I understand the want to like, oh, like perpetuate me and my bloodline, right?
Mhm.
But also there's like so many kids that need homes, right? 'Cause I know someone I was aware of, right? Like she was a single woman having a great career
Mhm.
and wanted a kid.
Right.
And so she got a surrogate to have a child for her.
Mhm.
And now she's got a kid. She's still single, still got the career.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering, right? Like that kid was for you,
Oh, definitely.
right?
Yeah,
Like
definitely. Yeah.
why have this kid raised by only one parent, which is nothing's wrong with
Right,
that.
nothing's wrong,
But
yeah.
but why choose that for them? Why create a kid
Mhm.
into that situation
Mhm. No,
for
it
you,
it was definitely a s I mean,
right?
I'm not in their skin and I'm not in their brain, so I don't
Right.
know what their thinking was. So I'm pretty sure the thinking process was probably really complex, because most human thoughts are, and most human decisions are. But the way I'm seeing this, it seems like a very selfish decision, you know. And I kind of feel, unless someone can correct me, I kind of feel that most childbirths, no, or sorry, most kind of willful, I'll say, childbirths are because of that. It's a very selfish reason. I want to have it. Even my mom was, the reason why she had kids was very selfish, you know. Um, it didn't take into consideration the lives of the kids she's having. It's taken into consideration her current status, you know. And I think that's how a lot of people have end up having kids. I want they're like, they're like, I want to get married and I want to have kids. Well, why do you want to have kids? You want to get married. Okay, that's your life, and that's you, and y'all are making very um, adult, cognitive decisions, right? But you want to have kids. Why? Is there a specific purpose? Like is what's the reasoning? And it's very rarely because I think I can give them a good life and show them the how beautiful the world is, and I think blah blah blah. It's very, very rarely anything that's going to help benefit the kid. It is quite often because they want it for a very specific selfish reason, and I'm just very much against that, and to the like, and I because then somebody could be like, well, if you're against having kids, why don't you adopt kids? I just don't want kids either. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Which is
multiple
perfectly
reasons here.
fine. Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Like
perfectly fine. So I don't want kids. I don't want to have them, and I have specific reasons for them. But like, if you want a kid, like you were saying, it doesn't have to be your DNA, because also it could be your DNA, and at the end of the day, because you can't control that kid forever, at the end of the day, they don't want to have anything to do with you. Well, you got DNA out there, but they're not going to be taking care of you when you get old, sort of thing. Or they're going to put you in a home and, move on with their life, sort of thing. So, like, I think I just think it's a fun, and it's also very interesting too. And I've been thinking about this for years. People are the governments, at least the U.S. government. I think the French government as well. Um, they reward people for having kids. So like you get tax deductions and stuff
Mhm.
like that for having kids. You want to have tax deductions, have some kids. You
I
know.
mean, it's it's still you're still probably financially better off not having kids if finances is your only reason, right? I don't unless you are really working the system,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
It's not cheaper to have children.
I guess that's true.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, like they'll help you with it, right? So it's not as much of a burden. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're just strictly like, look, I'm trying to maximize how much money I get in,
Right.
having kids is probably not the best way unless you're really working the system.
Hmm.
You know
That's
what I
that
mean?
might be
Like,
possible. Yeah, might be true.
um, because
Because I don't have kids, so I don't know how
yeah,
much it costs.
like
But I think it costs quite a
because
bit.
you could be a productive person and go get a and grow a career
Mm-hmm.
and make more than say having 5 kids on welfare, right? Like that's just not you know
Well,
what I mean?
but then you'd have to want to be that person to go out and have that career and be that.
Right, but
You know.
I'm saying
I wasn't even
if
thinking about
yeah,
welfare, but that's also a whole
right,
other
like that's a
subject
whole different
because
thing. But look,
yeah.
we are way off topic. But the point was, hey, does putting all these kids out there to fend for themselves in a lot of ways without like the other parent knowing
Mhm.
that they were abandoned,
Right.
can you at the same time say I'm a caring parent because I'm doing X, Y, and Z thing
Right.
when your initial choice was now again you could have made a mistake and then you're making up for it, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I got it, but if you keep doing it, was it
Yeah.
a mistake?
It's not a
You know what I mean?
mistake.
So I don't
Yeah.
know, right? Like, okay, I messed up. Let me help these kids now.
Right.
Cool. I messed up. Oh, I messed up again,
Right.
and now I had another kid again, and
No, I'm trying
again,
to fix that one, but I'm
and
having another
again,
kid, and
and
then yeah,
again.
like
Okay, now I'm not buying it anymore,
yeah,
right? You guys
yeah,
are all just messed up as we see these guys can be. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it was interesting. I mean, yeah, and to that point, I was curious how Annabeth wanted to use Luke and the father relationship to like, oh, we'll do this favor
Something
for you, and then I'll help you get in good with your son.
right.
It
After
seemed
she
like
just got finished saying she didn't want to be like that.
right. I'm like,
Yeah, in
I
the
just don't
last episode,
understand. I don't get that, but okay. You still think Luke is involved in some way?
I most definitely do.
You
I
think
mean,
he's
I could
involved
be
in a
wrong.
negative way?
I
Okay,
could be wrong. Yeah, negative. I could be wrong. I don't trust
got
him.
it.
That's it.
Now, are you is your understanding that who Percy saw in his dream is Hades?
I mean, that's what they kept saying, but
I mean, Percy seemed to think it was Hades
I think he
because
thought it was Hades because
they
Annabeth
were
said it was.
well, yeah, and because the person was talking to whoever took the lightning bolt, and the
Oh, maybe
assumption
yeah,
has been
that Hades took
that Hades did it,
right, or
right?
because it's in Hades.
Right. Which, again, a lot of assumptions going on,
Right,
right? Um, because even Grover's like, well, who would Ares protect? His daughter. It's Clarice. Problem
right,
solved. I'm like,
right.
oh, that's a lot of jumps in logic.
And
you
also,
know,
is Clarice the only child of Ares?
right?
'Cause
Exactly. Like
maybe
she's happy to be the one at that camp that we know about, but like,
right, right. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
assumptions going on,
a lot of assumptions. So I feel like we're gonna find out a lot of these assumptions are
but also
wrong.
I don't trust Grover, so I'm just putting that out there either. Too. I mean, we'll see what happens in the second season, but just this season, I can't believe I've forgotten so much about this movie, but I have. I
Yeah,
just
I was gonna watch it just to get my stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'll just stay ignorant in this way, and I can just
yeah,
play.
well, because it'll give you spoilers afterwards. Because if
Yeah,
it's so fresh, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna happen. This is
right.
gonna happen." Because it's really like I said, as
Yeah,
true to the at least the movies, and the movies appear to be true to the books because the series is supposed to be true to the books. So
right. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I guess we'll see. So what else happened in the episode? We saw so they get to the casino. Hermes helps them. Go over looking for Pan. Ends up they get the car keys. Seems
did
like okay.
she called Hermes the god of theft or something like that? Did you
Yeah,
hear her say that?
yeah. These guys I guess have multiple kind of domains, right? So he's
Oh,
the god of
okay,
travelers. I guess he's also the god of thieves.
Oh,
which what she called him, which is why well, I
got
guess he
things.
should have.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess that's why he knew I stole it from him. Like, yeah, but I was like, why'd you think
Yeah, if you knew
you're
that.
so you're so clever to steal from Hermes? But
Mhm.
again,
But again,
kids.
if she hadn't, then they wouldn't have had a what?
Or he knew she was gonna take it, or he
Maybe
let her take it, like whatever. Like
I
you can
don't know.
think you stole it because he had the note waiting for them, right? So
Right?
it's like he knew.
Yeah.
That's why he couldn't go find them and get it back if he wanted to.
Right. Yeah.
He was like, okay, fine, whatever. He was hard headed. Borrow the car,
Excuse me.
which they just destroyed.
That was funny. I'm not gonna lie, because I was not expecting him to just roll up on
Yeah,
the
just
side of the.
it's like, oh, it's going great.
That
Oh
was
no.
hilarious.
And Grover's still looking clueless in the backseat, like,
Until he got out. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
but
I thought it was interesting, but it does raise a lot of questions. So
yeah, and I feel like unfortunately we're probably overthinking all of this.
probably.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's probably super simple. That was Hades, it's Clarissa, whatever, and it's fine. It's like,
Yeah, but I mean, I think they are like pushing towards a mystery, and I do like the mystery. So, and again, for all of our viewers, if there is anything else going on the side that we're missing, it ain't my fault. like I do recognize the relationship that they're trying to put clear. Or sorry,
right, yeah, because Luke talked about them being a married couple, and like, well,
yeah,
ignoring that, moving
exactly.
on, blah blah
Yeah,
blah 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 blah.
but again,
Speaking
it's not the
of,
center of, so I'm not
yes,
paying attention to it.
the other mystery, which I think probably why you suspect Luke, is that they weren't looking for him, or were they? Right? They were trying to
No,
get
they weren't
to
looking.
Chiron, right?
Yeah.
They said
Mhm.
take us to Chiron's office.
Mhm.
Chiron wasn't there. Luke
Right.
was in his office.
Right.
Why?
I don't know, but
Right?
I
Why are
was
you in his office by yourself?
right, exactly. Yeah. I
Suspicious.
didn't I
Suspicious.
that thought had crossed my mind when I saw him. And I was like, why Luke? Like why is he there? So I don't know. I just don't trust him. He just looked untrustworthy from the beginning. So
And I guess speaking of assumptions, we assume that when they asked to see Chiron's office, that's where they were taken to see.
that's the assumption. Yes.
Right?
I mean,
Could have been.
because let's think about this.
I know it's thinking too hard, but
Did they say Chiron's office, or they said, because like Chiron, I don't think he's dead though. Right? So like,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's why Luke was in there.
right, yeah, that's what I was
He
thinking.
murdered him.
I don't know, but also interesting. We haven't had any more fatalities.
The minute I mentioned the murder tracker, there's no more murdering going on. I'm kind of mad about that.
But
The
hey,
show needs more murder.
no, it's so. I mean, listen, it did start off pretty murderous.
Yeah,
So,
very cavalier.
but but listen, I'm okay with not as well. So
Fine. Okay. Well, that being said, Nate, it's that
yeah,
time.
yeah, it is.
What do you think?
I think it's. I think I'm gonna stick at it at the 7. I think it was.
Think
I think
7?
that's a good place for it to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 6.9.
Oh my goodness, that is very meticulous.
I
Like,
know. But I feel like all this confusion around how things work in that casino, and the thing that I told you bugs me.
what happened?
Minors are not allowed in the
And
casino.
I mean, are they minors? I mean,
Yes.
Percy is a minor, but
I mean, Grover looks like one, so someone should have been like, "Hey, yo, like, what are you doing in here?
that
Oh,
is
here's
very
my
strange.
Satyr ID that says I'm 24 or whatever."
But they
Because
were all under the influence as well. So
it's still a casino. Casinos got so much security.
yeah, but
Cameras
all under
everywhere.
the Lotus prevents you from caring.
Okay, but the people that work, you can't just have kids in a no, no, no. Like at the door, it's like, hey, where are you going? Like
Right.
this area. I don't know. No. They should have explained why the kids were allowed in there.
I can get
Again,
nothing for you.
again, these hotels, right? The whole like if it's a hotel, they have areas where you can be as kids, and there's all
Mhm.
kind of. I've been to Las Vegas a few times. Like there's places where kids can go, but like
Mhm.
the casino part,
Mhm.
like kids aren't in there.
Yeah.
You
I mean, I was
can't get
thinking
in.
about it, but I was also like, listen, these people don't care. They're not caring about anything. So
It's stupid. You know what? 6.5. 6.5 for that foolishness. I can't take it. I can't take
Wow.
it. I can't take it. Well, folks, let us know. Do you think kids should be allowed in casinos? Yes or no? Let us know in the comments. I personally think kids shouldn't be gambling in casinos, but if you
Oh
think
God,
they
no.
should be,
No, they should not be allowed to gamble because they do not have that cognitive function to
but
stop
that's how
themselves.
all these games are now. All these loot boxes and the gambling. But look, that's a
Yeah, but
soapbox for
they're
another
not paying
day.
for it. I mean, they were just paying
Oh,
for the initial game, but
these
they're not.
kids in-app purchases, they can buy loot boxes and gamble, trying to
Oh
get
my
better
goodness.
skins or better
Oh.
whatevers. Yeah, all of that. But look. Don't get me in this rabbit hole. I was trying to end it.
All right, well, let's end it.
So
Okay,
let's end
well,
it
you have our
again.
scores.
It
I
said
should really
7.
put a score up here.
I said 6.5.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I can go lower, but I'll let it be for now.
All
But
right.
this is episode 6. We got 2 episodes left
Mhm.
for them to bring it home.
Yep.
Let's see what happens.
See what
On
happens.
to LA. All right, folks.
All right.
See ya.
Ciao.